How's it going, everyone? Jimmy with our good friend Mr. Dennis Doyle here today. This is the light tackle week that we're kicking off. This week we're going to be dropping videos every day with some all-stars from around here who are light tackle fishing in the Chesapeake Bay. It's going to be leading up to the light tackle sales event we got going on Saturday, April 13th. If you guys want more details, you can give us a call or check out our website, anglersannapolis.com. We're going to have everything on there, but today I got Mr. Dennis Doyle. He's a local who fishes a lot of panfish, perch, crappie, pickerel, kind of everything around here. So he's going to kind of give us the down low on the perch kind of throughout the year. And I think we're going to kind of start with locations and kind of where he likes to look and some of his favorite spots.
All right. Okay, white perch are the most popular sport fish on the Chesapeake for a couple of reasons. One of them is there's a lot of them. And the second thing is that they're the most delicious fish in the bay. I prefer them to all the others, as a matter of fact. But they're a very prolific fish. They spawn 2 or 3 times every spring. The females have to be 3 to be fertile. The males 2. They'll eat just about anything. The most common live baits, and this time of year you're going to get them mostly on live baits, because until the water temperatures get above 50, they feed primarily by smell. They're not really looking for anything. They're just trying to pick up the taste of it. Bloodworms are good. A piece of nightcrawler, a red wiggler. All the trout worms are excellent. Grass shrimp, when you can find them, is probably their preference because they're spawning as well, and they're up in the rivers and the creeks and beginning their life cycle. And then minnows. If you can find small minnows, fished on a below bobber, generally speaking, a 5 to a 7-foot rod with a small bobber and a shad dart underneath it, anywhere from 2 to 3 feet, to keep it up off the bottom and out of the weed line, and you get in the upper reaches of the tributaries and cast it to the opposite shoreline from shore. Or if you're in a boat, you'd be working off the shores, casting it up. They prefer areas near laydowns, trees that are down, bushes that are down. Rocks. They like to cast their eggs in rocks. Now they don't discharge all their eggs at once. They can have, a 4-year-old fish will have 250,000 eggs, but they won't exude all of them at one time. They'll put as many as comfortable out there. And they're free-floating eggs, so they're just meant to move along the bottom with the current, which means you don't want an area with a very low current or still current. You want it moving slightly, otherwise the eggs settle to the bottom and get smothered. So you want moving water. It only takes a day, 2 days, 3 days for those eggs to hatch and start breaking free. So you've got that. They're going to spawn 2-3 times during the season, which means the females are going to stay up in the spawning areas for quite some time, for a week or 2. It's not like the yellow perch that'll get up there, spawn once, and then take off. They're hard to find. But the white perch will be up there. The females will stay up there for a week or 2 until they've exuded all their eggs. The males will stay up there. The small males get up there really early and stay as long as they possibly can. So you're going to get a lot of small males, but you'll get some big ones too. And later in the year, the bigger the males will become.
When you say up there, you're talking about mostly up in the headwaters of the creeks and the rivers?
Well, they're heading for the headwaters.
Yep.
They go to where they were born.
Yep.
and the females will stay until they've laid all their eggs. The males will stay forever, as long as there's a chance. And so they're available. They're available. The key to the spawn is sunny days. First part of the spawn is sunny days. A good warm sun will bring those shallows up to spawning conditions rather quickly, and they'll stay that way until the sun goes down. So if you get a sunny day and you've got water that's 40 degrees, it doesn't take but a couple of hours to make that in the 50, 60 degree area, which is what the perch are looking for.
So we kind of figured out where to look for them during the spawn. I know a lot of people, a really hard time to find them is going to be pre and post spawn, because you go from kind of your summertime, they're everywhere, you're catching them all the time, and they kind of disappear in that little fall, late fall period. And in the wintertime, they get really hard to catch, and then they kind of go into their pre-spawn. Do you have any thoughts or kind of ideas on what they might be doing in that in-between time?
Well, this time of year, they're going to be staging. They'll move up into a particular area at the mouths of the rivers, the mouth of the estuaries, any place where if you've got a stream or a small creek entering a larger creek, that's an area where they're liable to stop and build up their numbers. And they'll hold there as long as the water's deep enough to keep them comfortable. They'll hold there until the sun warms up, and then they'll move on to the next phase. That's the staging phase of their spawn. Now the thing is they all move to their own tune. You don't know. One packet of white perch is going to move the way they want to, and the next school will move the way they want to. The key to finding perch this time of year is go out every chance you get. Don't stay too long because you'll wear yourself out, but sooner or later you're going to run into them. Now, at the low tide, they're going to be holding in the staging areas, the mouths, the creeks, the juncture of a small creek into a larger creek. And in the deeper pools, you might not know where those are because they change all the time, but that's where they're going to be in low tide or slow tide conditions. As soon as that tide starts moving, they're going to start moving because they get fresh scent from their places where they were born, and they get a fresh sense of direction of which way they go, and they'll leapfrog up to the next area and hold there. The males will stay up there until the full extent of the spawn. They're not going to move down until June, sometimes into July. The females, it's going to take them a week or two to spawn, but then they're going back to their winter grounds or intermediate grounds. Very difficult to find. They just move down until the water gets comfortable and they find a food source and they'll stay there. The next thing you're going to encounter will be pickerel. The pickerel come right up the rivers with the small males and the females, and will feed on them until their spawn takes over, which is shortly after. I think April. In April. You know, because pickerel are illegal to keep in April. The primary rig that you're going to use for chasing down white perch this time of year is a bobber and one or two shad darts underneath it with your choice of baits. And the rule with bait is the fish want whatever you don't have. So plan accordingly. You know, take as many different kinds as you can. I fished alongside of guys that pulled them in one after another, and I couldn't buy a bite with anything I had because I didn't have a grass shrimp. And when they ran out of grass shrimp, that was the end of the bite. so we all left. But having a selection of baits is a good idea when you're chasing white perch, when you haven't been able to, when you're just starting to find them. Size 4 hook or a small shad dart like that. You can use a piece of bait. Don't use too large of a bait because there's a lot of little fish down there and they'll drive you crazy. One of the tricks of the trade, if you're catching a lot of small fish and you know there's bigger ones in there and you can't seem to tempt them enough because the small guys are all over your baits, is to take one of the larger of the fish that you don't want, kill it, fillet it, and cut some strips out of it, longitudinal strips out of it, and put a thin piece about that long on the end of a shad dart, and they're tough. And white perch love the taste of white perch. So if you toss that out there and bring it back slow, it's going to take a big perch to eat that to get to the hook. Okay.
That's some secret wisdom right there, guys. Don't let that one go to waste.
They'll last quite a while. They'll last 4 or 5 fish. Okay, so you do that, and you'll catch just the larger fish if you don't let them have it too long. That'll work all summer long too, and it's a good trick to use, and it's not as expensive as pan. What is it, a dozen bloodworms?
It's getting up there.
Yeah, bloodworms can get expensive, especially if there's a lot of little fish out there. Okay, there's a couple different rigs that you can use. One of them is to use a shad dart and a small Tony Aceta. Okay, I use a Tony Aceta with a grass shrimp on it, and then a shad dart with a piece of bloodworm on it, and you'll have 2 of them off to the bottom of one of these bobbers, and just bring it slowly across. The bobber is to keep it out of the weeds at the bottom, and the flash will attract them to the grass shrimp, and the colors will attract them to the shad dart, and you'll find that you can get some of the larger fish in with this item here too, especially if they're spread out and there's not a lot of them concentrated in any area. But you'll also find the pet spoon in, what is this one? I can't see.
I think it's a size 12.
12 and
That would also be a 12.
12, so
Yeah.
this is an 11. The 12 is the most productive Tony for larger fish. I like the yellow one, but the white chrome works almost as well. And you just bring it back with a standard erratic retrieve, and it'll pick up some large fish on these. You'll also find the channel cats and small stripers like them too, so hang on to your rod. The moon phase, I have never found it to be reliable, but some people love the full moon. It probably does accelerate their egg production, but that's a crapshoot. I found the full moon to be the most productive when it's dark at night, when you've got cloud cover at night, because otherwise the fish feed all night long because there's too much light. Okay, so we're into the full spawning phase, and that'll continue. That you're going to catch those conditions well through April. And I even had good days with yellow perch in April, and sometimes into May. But it's going to end sooner or later, so make hay while the sun shines. That will work then, and then you're going to run into a very difficult period, because when the spawn is over, I have never found out where they went. They are very difficult to find right after the spawn. I fished in all the traditional spots and I'll hit them, but it's by accident. They're not offshore yet. They're not in deeper water. They're not in their summertime haunts on the rocks in the shallow waters. I'm not sure where they get to. If you find out where it is, tell me, but don't tell anybody else.
It's the time of the year, springtime's coming up. That sale I was talking about on April 13th is going to have some awesome deals. All rods, reels, and combos are going to be 15% off. We're also going to do an awesome trade-in value. If you want to bring in a rod and reel combo, we can give you an additional 10% off that rod, reel, or combo. So some great deals coming up again. That's April 13th. Find details on our website. Thanks, guys.